Hi, welcome to Anglotopia's third podcast.
The Christmas special.
Yeah, woo!
So we're going to take a break from talking about our trip from a few months ago and focus on British Christmas and our experiences with it and what we love about it and how you can introduce some Britishy Christmassy things to your own Christmas.
Yeah, we're really excited. I think British Christmas is... We've been all different times of year, but I think that British Christmas is probably our favorite time of year to go.
Yes. We visited at Christmas time back in 2013. We were back earlier in 2013. We were sitting on the couch and we were commiserating about the stress of the holiday season and not looking forward to the Christmas rat race, I guess. And we thought maybe we want to do something a little different. And so we thought, well, why don't we go to England and spend Christmas there?
With a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old.
With a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. Because we were insane.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to have a quintessential British Christmas, and this was actually, I think, the longest trip we've ever taken. It ended up being probably the biggest trip we've ever taken in Anglotopia's history. We really wanted to spend Christmas in a cottage in the countryside. That's kind of what we wanted to do. So we got in touch with our friends who own Updown Cottage, which is the cottage on Gold Hill in Shaftesbury, Dorset, that we try to visit whenever we can because it's our most favorite place. And it was open for Christmas, which usually wasn't. So,
and let me just interject. If you ever get a chance to stay here for Christmas, it is an experience. I've never had a Christmas like it.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will, but I'm just saying, like, we'll put a link to the cottage, but if you ever get the chance...
The owners, Jane and Simon, they go all out to make it a special Christmas for the people who stay there at Christmas time.
They do.
So yeah, it was available, so we booked it, and then... I'm not going to talk about the whole trip. We've written about it ad nauseum before. We even wrote a couple of features for the magazine about it. So, but the first week we were in London, so we kind of had Christmas in London, which was fun. And then a few days before Christmas, we went to Shaftesbury, and that's where we stayed for like the next 2.5 weeks.
It was great. Yeah,
so we were in British Christmas Wonderland for the whole holiday season, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
so why don't we dive kind of right into the nitty-gritty of British Christmas? What is your favorite thing about British Christmas that is different from here?
I would say, like, we get a lot of our Christmas traditions from British culture, and so there's a lot that's the same. A lot of it came over with that Victorian resurrection of the Christmas thing from A Christmas Carol and all that. But I would say what I love most is the slight differences. I'd say my biggest thing that I like about it is that in Britain, the holiday season is a holiday season. When I've done a lot of business with British companies over the years, and most British companies shut down like the few days before Christmas, and then they don't reopen until after New Year's. People have time off. It's like
you're supposed to spend it with your family.
You're supposed to spend it with your family and friends, and go do things, and go out and have adventures, and go visit castles and stately homes, and walk in the countryside, and visit the seaside. And that's one thing that really surprised us when we did visit. Is as long as you have good weather, and you can have really good weather in December in Britain, because Britain is a much milder winters than we're used to here in the Midwest in the U.S. Granted, a hurricane hit Britain while we were there, but that's a whole other story. But so there's opportunity to do things. There's opportunity to have wholesome family experiences. Whereas here in the U.S., like on December 26th, you go back to work.
Yeah.
If you're
it's like put away the Christmas tree.
Most people go back to work, and then they work until New Year's Eve, and then they're back.
Well, you're off New Year's Day.
Off New Year's Day, and then you're back the day after New Year's, and like so it's very much like you get a day off, but that's it. And so the entire country here runs around that schedule. People have Christmas, there's a day off, and then they go back to work, and then it's in a lot of offices it's a lot quieter and a lot more low key. But the focus is that the British appreciate that the most important things in life are family and friends and enjoying your life, and they really do it at Christmas with gusto. And a lot of places will shut down, for Christmas, and their employees will just have the time off, and it doesn't even count towards their allocated time off. It's just the office is closed, nobody's working, so what? Granted, there are exceptions to this. I mean, you go to a tourist attraction, there will be people working. The shops will be open. Sometimes. That's another thing.
Yeah. Learning experience.
That's a whole learning experience. Retail hours during the holidays can be tricky, especially when you're not from there and you need food. But for the most part, there's a different conception of what the holiday season is supposed to be, and to me, that's what I love about British Christmas. So it's just there you've got people are usually done with work a couple days before Christmas Eve. They're off for Christmas Eve. They're off for Christmas Day. Boxing Day is a national holiday.
Boxing Day lunch.
Yeah, so Boxing Day is off. People are usually off between Christmas and New Year's, and then New Year's Day is a holiday. And I'm getting emails from some British companies. They're like, we're not going to be back till January 8th. I'm like, that's great. That's great for you guys.
Yeah.
We still have to work. Even though as small business owners, we still have to work during the Christmas holiday season. So, that's the long answer to your question. That's what I love about the holiday season in Britain, is how long it is and how relaxed it is, and it allows you to focus on the meaningful aspects of what Christmas is supposed to be.
Yeah. I think that was a big shock for us the first time we went over for Christmas, because we had never, we were both born and raised here in the States, and in a lot of ways Christmas feels like an inconvenience.
Especially when it's in the middle of the work week like it is this year.
Yeah, it falls on a Tuesday this year. That's a little rough, I won't lie. It feels like everybody's just kind of in a funk because it falls on a Tuesday, trying to finish the work week today or tomorrow, depending on, what your office allows, and then, right back to work, day after Christmas. It's an adjustment for sure. But I think my favorite thing about British Christmas is the food. I know that sounds like a really weird thing, but so many of my own traditions revolve around food. And the first time we went and experienced a British Christmas was the first time I had an actual mince pie. It was the first time I had mulled wine. It was the first time I had a Boxing Day lunch. I was introduced to pickle. And for those of you who don't know what pickle is, it's not an actual pickle. It's like a fermented, almost like a fermented chutney. It goes on pork pie. You can actually eat it on a lot of things, but it's absolutely delicious. And so there's a lot of those traditions that we've brought home with us that now have become part of our Christmas, and we just, we're always expanding. We're always expanding and finding new ways to bring Christmas traditions home. Like we do Christmas crackers. We've done Christmas crackers for years, and those are, they're kind of like these, I don't know, how would you describe a Christmas cracker? It's kind of like a firework, but not a firework, and it's got a goodie inside of it, and a crown, and
joke.
Usually a really corny joke.
And it's, you do
a little gift.
You crack them at dinner, and it's meant to be a fun conversation piece.
It is.
I would say the food would be second for me. There's just so much here. Like our traditional Christmas foods would be like a ham. Like I hate ham, so like it's my least favorite of the holiday meals because I don't like it. The favorite British food is probably, like, normally I dislike turkey at Thanksgiving, and for the British, turkey at Christmas is the normal meal. It's either turkey or goose, or to some extent Christmas or beef roast. So I'm not a huge fan of turkey, but at Christmas, and it's cooked right, mostly by her, it's delicious. So like I think So there's that. And then there's Boxing Day lunch, which is like Sunday roast on steroids. And that's just an excuse to either go down the pub and have a nice Sunday roast but on Boxing Day, or visit friends and have a Sunday roast at their house. And when we went in 2013, our friends in Shaftesbury invited us for their Sunday roast or for their Boxing Day lunch, and it was a lovely experience.
It was a great experience. It was our first Boxing Day lunch ever, and what I liked about it, and I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but especially because we had 2 small kids with us, it was just kind of low key. It was like, we have something called Friendsgiving here in the U.S. where you have like formal Thanksgiving with your family, and it's, you know, aunts and uncles and that kind of thing. And it's, I mean, every family does it differently, but you have something called Friendsgiving as well, which is usually a get together with friends, and it's usually a little more low key, and it's fun, and not to say that time with family isn't fun. It is. It's just different. And so I think the Boxing Day lunch that we did kind of reminded me of Friendsgiving a little bit. In that it was just low key, like they were super accommodating, with us having small kids. Tried so many delicious foods for the first time. A really funny kind of anecdote about that is, so I mentioned pickle. So I had made a turkey for Christmas Day, and we had delicious leftovers, and we went to Boxing Day lunch at our friend's house. And then, like, later that evening around, like, 8 or 9 o'clock, I was peckish. And so, I can't remember I think they sent me home with, like, a jar from their cupboard of just Brinson's pickle. And I reheated some of the turkey and made, like, a frozen side dish of, like, macaroni and cheese. And put some pickle on the turkey. And, like, I sent them a picture, and I'm like, look, I'm eating pickle. And I think that they were like, well, that's a really interesting combination there, but it's delicious. I love pickle. What can I say? But, yeah. So.
I would say my next favorite thing about British Christmas is the British TV.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, there's
specials.
so much good British TV at Christmas time.
Here in the U.S. at Christmas time, all that's on TV is reruns.
Everybody takes a hiatus.
Yeah, all the TV production shows they go on hiatus. But in Britain, the Christmas time is like when the BBC and ITV and them will like showcase the best dramas of the year. You know, the Doctor Who special usually airs on Christmas. This year it's going to be New Year's. It's a big change, but
Call the Midwife.
Call the Midwife will be there. It's not as good anymore as it used to be.
Oh, I disagree.
You know, they'll premiere their showcase drama of the new year. Like this year, they have a new Les Miserables coming out. That's supposed to be.
It's gonna be so good.
6 parts.
Cannot wait.
Non-musical, however, and it's just there's a wide variety of great British TV at Christmas, and then there's the stuff they show every Christmas, the classic British Christmas specials like Blackadder's Christmas special where he plays a reverse Ebenezer Scrooge, and
and then there's Mr. Bean's Christmas special, which it's not Christmas.
We haven't watched that this year.
No, we haven't. It's not Christmas without. I love the scene where he goes around with the collection kettle, where the band is playing in the square, and he catches the boy who is like pickpocketing and makes him put the wallet in the kettle. I think it's really funny.
Yeah, so lots of classic British shows, and I should have made a list before we started the podcast.
It's all right.
And sometimes the Christmas specials aren't even very Christmassy, but it's
become a tradition.
It's become a tradition where they show great TV at Christmas time. So that was something I loved when we were there. I actually had our friend send us the Radio Times Christmas double issue before we left, and it's a big, massive magazine that has the entire schedule for the entire Christmas season, and it's tradition to go through and circle the things you want to make sure you watch. And yeah, when we went, I did the same thing, and there was so much good British TV, and then we were introduced to new traditions too, like while we were there, I kept hearing this song, and like it's a very emotive song, and I kept hearing instrumental versions of the song. I kept hearing the sung versions of the song. I kept hearing a little boy sing the song. I kept hearing a grown man sing the song. I kept hearing the song everywhere, and I never heard it before because it's not a Christmas song here. The Christmas music here is like the top 40, which is, you know, Mariah Carey down to you know, songs from White Christmas and whatnot. Like this song is a very British song, and I never heard it before, and it's called Walking in the Air, and it's from a cartoon called The Snowman, and I'd never seen The Snowman either, and so we planned our kind of trip around seeing The Snowman for the first time, and it's based on a book by Raymond Briggs, which is it's a illustrated book, but there's no words in it, and it's just a visual story about a little boy and a snowman who magically comes to life on Christmas, and it was made into an animated short about half an hour long by Channel 4 in the 80s, and it like immediately became an iconic part of the British holiday season, mostly because of the song that takes place like in the middle called Walking in the Air, where the little boy and the snowman take off and fly through the English countryside at Christmas time, and it's a very nostalgic song, and it evokes emotions of childhood wonderment at Christmas, and I remember when we watched it for the first time and saw the song, I actually wept a little bit, and I don't weep.
No.
It was very moving. And so that was one of the highlights of the trip, was discovering that. And then you hear the song everywhere, and you hear it everywhere because it's the little boy who sang the song became very famous, and he's a famous singer. He's now a presenter on Classic FM, and it's just a great song. So look up on YouTube The Snowman. We'll link to it in the show notes. It's pretty easy to find, and it's great. It's become a beloved part of our holiday traditions. We've already watched it twice.
Yeah, we do what? You know, we have stuff like that here too. You know, Charlie Brown and Rudolph and stuff.
Again, yeah, those are very American.
They are, and so it was really neat to discover something different. Yeah. And believe it or not, I actually heard a version of it on the radio the other day.
Really?
I did. It was kind of like a pop version of it. I don't know who did it. It was very different. It wasn't like the traditional version of it, but it was somebody who had done a Christmas CD and put it on there, and I thought it was really interesting to hear it. I was like, oh, I know what that is. So, yeah. But
so definitely check out The Snowman if you can. One thing we don't have a copy of the book. Why don't we have a copy of the book?
I don't know.
We should, because we have this other graphic novel, Ethel and Ernest.
Favorite.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Ethel and Ernest. It was made into an animated film.
Two or three
Christmases ago, and it's about an old couple. Not an old couple. They're not old in this show, but about Ethel and Ernest. It's about Raymond Briggs. He drew and wrote the story of his parents' love story and their romance and growing up in World War II and everything.
It's beautiful. And
it's such a lovely, quintessentially British story and lovingly animated. And I don't know, it hasn't aired here, but I highly recommend finding it or at least getting the graphic novel. We'll
see if we can also put it. If we can find it, we'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. I've got the book somewhere in here in the library in here. It's just such a lovely story, and it really evokes a lot of the things that I love about British history and culture, and it's good. So highly recommend that.
Yeah, I think kind of not completely changing the subject, but just one of the things that really struck me about the difference between British Christmas and American Christmas is the Christmas tree itself. Have you ever noticed? An American tree is like a very full, like cone shape, whereas a British tree is more like branchy, like they're not like full like American, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just the different kind of trees they have there.
Yeah, I agree, but our very first British Christmas tree was in Uptown Cottage. It was really amazing to.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good time to talk about the preparations they made for us, because we explained to them that we wanted to have a little British Christmas, And they do this for all the guests who stay at Christmas, but I think they went above and beyond for us because they're our good friends, and because they brought in the tree, they decorated the tree, put lights on it, they decorated the rest of the cottage with wreaths and whatnot.
It was beautiful.
They provided presents for all of us, which was so thoughtful and lovely, and they put a lot of thought into the presents too. I treasure my gift, which was a customized ordnance survey map from Uptown Cottage.
Yeah,
that was great. So I have a feeling
still have my scarf.
You had something to do with that.
No, I really didn't.
They didn't ask you?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe.
I think you said they did ask you about it.
Oh, maybe they may have. I don't know. It's a haze of like new baby time still.
I mean, it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so they really went all out to make a nicely decorated cottage for us for Christmas. And so then, so that way when we showed up, we didn't have to do anything like to decorate for Christmas. We had to wrap presents, but
Yeah, we went down to Southampton. They have
Well, we went to a couple of places. We went to the new mall, Westfield, and that's
in London,
in West London,
and picked up some Christmas presents.
But we didn't want to pick up too much because we had to get it all home. So we kind of it was definitely our most pared down Christmas we ever had.
And
the trip was a gift to all of us.
Yeah, and like traveling with small children, the amount of gear that we brought with was just like we rented.
Never again.
Yeah, right. We rented an Audi station wagon. And we literally, we filled the trunk. I mean, there was just, this thing was so packed.
Yeah, it wasn't big enough, and it was a station wagon.
I know, that's crazy to me, but
so
you live, you learn, kind of
and then
thing.
we went to Southampton.
Yeah, that was a great day.
Why were we there?
We went to Southampton to finish our Christmas shopping.
Okay, because we didn't go to the Apple Store. We took that because we took the computer to Bath. Yeah, that's another story. Little William, who's now 7 years old, who was 2 years old then.
Also known as Anglotopia Jr.
Yes, Anglotopia Jr. He spilled a cup of tea on my keyboard.
On our laptop.
On my very expensive laptop.
But, and when you travel, that's our business,
yeah,
literally.
I was literally running Anglotopia from that laptop, and the tea fried the keyboard, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that is you were talking about how everything kind of closes down between Christmas and New Year.
So that presented a problem.
And so John took the computer into Bath and explained the situation, and they told him they were amazing, great customer service. They said, "Oh, we'll do a really quick turnaround service for you."
And I think we got it back the day before New Year's.
Yeah, I called, and I was just. Which I always feel really weird as an American, whether I'm there or here, calling somebody British on the other end. I always feel like they don't expect to hear my accent. And so, but they were amazing. They worked really hard to get it back in time, and they did, and that was great. But,
yeah, and then that computer had a British keyboard from then on, and believe it or not, British keyboards are different despite speaking the same language. The keys are slightly different, so that was fun.
Yeah,
I had to learn a new keyboard.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, we did a little bit of Christmas shopping. We wrapped presents, put them under the tree. We tried to keep up the show of Santa having to come, and we explained to the kids that Santa knew we were leaving, so he knew where to find us.
But Will was too. I mean,
yeah,
Mabel was only interested in her own hands, but. She sat up for the first time, all by herself in that cottage.
She also transitioned to that wake up phase where the baby's suddenly aware of things.
Yeah, she went from just kind
being a ball of flesh to being aware of our surroundings.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, now she's 5.
Yeah, what is her nickname?
Ms. Anglotopia.
Ms. Anglotopia. So, yes.
Yeah, and then so after the decorations were sorted, the presents were sorted, we had to sort Christmas dinner.
Yeah, that was really neat.
Yeah, so we got a line on a butcher nearby, and we were told, it was recommended to us by the cottage owners that we have to order our bird in advance.
Yeah, that's something you could go find that anywhere in a grocery store here. That's not a thing. So
we got in touch with a butcher nearby Shaftesbury. We ordered our bird, and here in America, where the turkeys are gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so gigantic they practically have diabetes themselves.
Oh my god.
They're gigantic turkeys, and even if you get a small turkey, it's gigantic. To the British, the turkeys are not gigantic. They're like large chickens or like a goose. They're still big, but they're not obese like a turkey is here. All I could think is turkey my dad had that could barely walk.
Oh, like delicious turkey.
Is your mouth watering over there?
Yeah, it makes me think of the movie A Christmas Story. No turkey cacciatore, no turkey hash. Yummy turkey.
So we ordered a turkey, and it was a fairly large bird. It was only the four of us, so and
Mabel wasn't eating solids yet, so
So we also conveniently he's a butcher. We were going to need meat while we were there, and the stores were going to be closed, so we ordered a bunch of meat from him.
Yeah, we ordered bacon.
And
British bacon.
We ordered some steaks. I think we ordered a chicken as well. And the best part of that was he delivered it to the cottage. Like, we didn't have to go get it.
Yeah, which was like, and then the funniest part of the whole story, I think, is we had driven in to Shaftesbury in the station wagon that I mentioned earlier, and apparently we had driven like right past the turkey farm, and he was like, we were talking about like where his farm was, just kind of making small talk as he delivered the turkey, and he was like, oh yeah, you went right past my farm. In fact, you went right past this bird like 2 days ago. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was literally a farm fresh bird.
Yeah.
And after you worked your magic on it on Christmas Day, it was bloody delicious.
Oh, watch your mouth now.
It was the best turkey you've ever made.
Oh, thanks. That was like, oh, we had our first Yule log too. Like, I think even though we were there and I tried to recreate a British dinner or Christmas dinner, I think it was still very American. I would say the dinners we have now are probably more British, just because I've learned so much more. But one of the things that we were introduced to was a Yule log, and like you will find them everywhere. It's like a cake or like a what I would call like a Swiss roll, and you eat it after dinner, and it's delicious. It's so good. But yeah, so
I'm sorry, that screaming noise is not anything we're keeping trapped in the basement. It's our water filtration system recycling.
Yeah, I doubt it caught it, but if it did, that's what that noise is.
It's a very sensitive microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then.
We had the time that we spent there, and then like there's so many great British Christmas things. Like there's great British Christmas movies, like Love Actually.
Yes, I think we watched that before we left on the trip, and we watch that every year at least twice.
Yeah,
although we haven't watched it this year.
Well, we've got a lot going on this year.
It's been a tough Christmas season. We haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. But yeah, and then The Holiday. We watched The Holiday last night.
We didn't finish it though.
No, I fell asleep. I was busy making mince pies all day yesterday. Yeah. So delicious mince pies. I actually made a video yesterday on how to make mince pies. And so
that needs to go out before the podcast.
It will. I'm going to put it up today and put a link to it in the notes. And so I have to say they smell so good sitting here. Like it is taking every bit of self-control I have not to like dive in and like, but I don't want to chew into the microphone. My mouth is literally watering thinking about these delicious mincemeat pies. But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, British movies, British specials. Like we already talked about the music with Walking in the Air. There's more music to talk about.
There's tons of British Christmas music.
Their Christmas music is more based on traditional carols more than it is here, and their carols are different. So we learned a lot of different British Christmas carols that we really liked. If you want a good survey of what those sound like, watch Carols from Kings.
I was just gonna say
which is aired every Christmas Eve, I think, in Britain, and you can watch it now on BritBox with the British TV streaming service. They usually have it, and it's the Christmas service and choir from King's College in Cambridge, and they cover like the gamut of British Christmas carols, and they're really good. I love English choral music, so it's good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that.
What are some great things that you think that people can do to just bring British Christmas traditions to their own family?
Okay. I would say get Christmas crackers.
Yeah. I found those at Target.
Yeah,
by the way.
they're pretty easy to find here in the U.S. now. Costco has them. Cost Plus World Market will have them. Target had them. I mean, yeah, they're easy to find.
Well, and your local British import store will probably have them or know where to get them.
I think 38 states in the U.S. have at least one British import store in them, according to our stats.
Yeah, we do have a list, too.
We have a list on the site, which we'll link to in the show notes.
Yep, so you get all of your British...
that's actually a great place to go if you want to stock up on British stuff for Christmas.
Ooh, like Stilton. Oh,
yeah, I get some British cheese and some...
Oh, listen to us. I think we're gonna have lunch after this.
Like some mulled wine. So yeah, buy crackers.
Make some mince pies.
Or
buy some.
Make mince pies, or you can buy them. You can buy the main brand British mince pies.
Like Walker's, who does the shortbread. They
do mince pies. You can get them.
They're pretty good. I mean, they're not homemade, but
you can get them on Amazon.
Yeah, they work. I mean, it works in a jam.
There's also British Corner Shop.
Oh yeah.
The big online supermarket that ships worldwide. They're pretty reasonably too. They'll have everything from Christmas pudding to mince pies to any British food you would want. So it's find some British foods to bring in. If you're gonna do, if you want to do like a traditional Christmas dinner, British Christmas dinner, have Yorkshire puds.
Yummy.
Those are so good.
The trick is not to open the oven once you put them in, I've learned, and to let your batter rest before it goes into the oven.
And I would say ditch a ham and do like a turkey or do a beef roast. Watch some British Christmas specials. I'd stick to the Christmassy ones rather than the ones that have aired at Christmas. So Mr. Bean, the Blackadder Christmas special, the Snowman,
the Queen's speech. She gives a speech every Christmas.
We haven't talked about that. Yeah, one of the traditions is started, I think, by her grandfather, George V. I may be wrong there. Royal watchers may correct me. But he started the tradition of every day or every Christmas day, the Queen will give a speech. Right. It's very short. It's apolitical. It's just really a message of greetings and joy. Well wishes from the royal family to the British people. And, even in the modern day, the British will stop and watch it. People joke that when they were growing up in the 50s and 60s, people would stand up when the Queen was on TV for the Christmas speech.
What a mark of respect.
Yeah, people don't really do that now, and they've adapted to the modern age. Like the speech airs on all the British TV networks. They put it on YouTube now, and you can watch it on BritBox, and it's pretty easy to find. BBC America usually airs it too. It's always on at 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, 3 p.m. British time, so that's 9 a.m. U.S. Central Time, or 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. No, 8 a.m. Mountain Time.
7 a.m.
Pacific. L.A. Time. Yeah, Pacific Time. But you don't have to watch it when it airs, too. It'll be on YouTube when it's done.
But what's funny about that is, so back when we started Anglotopia back in 2008, I can honestly tell you that every Christmas morning has literally stopped. Like, no matter where we are, what we're doing, like if we've been at family's house or we've got the kids opening Christmas presents, like everything stops for the Queen's speech in our house.
And then I publish it on Anglotopia, so
yeah,
we'll publish it as soon as it's up.
But which is super cool, I think.
Yeah, and the message is always nice. I mean, our presidents do a Christmas speech too, but everyone likes the Queen more than our political leaders, so it's a very nice apolitical thing to have on Christmas Day. And sometimes she'll talk about something specific, but at the end of the day, it's just the Queen saying Merry Christmas to the whole country, and that's nice.
It is.
And I'm sure it's a new tradition started when radio started, but I think it's going to continue because it's nice. So Christmas specials to bring into your British Christmas. We have a list on the website of our favorite British TV Christmas specials, so we'll be sure to link that in the show notes. And I would say watch some British movies. There's, the easy ones like
Love Actually.
I like The Lion in Winter at Christmas because it takes place at Christmas, and it's one of the best Katharine Hepburn movies.
For sure.
We also have a list on the website. We'll link to that.
Yeah.
And then, did we talk about bringing in British music?
Yeah, we talked about British music.
And then, bring some traditions in, and you don't have to like make your whole American Christmas British, but we like to bring in tiny little things here and there to.
We definitely have a good blend.
To blend it to my Anglophilia is like the most important is after wife and kids is like the most important thing in my life. So I like to incorporate it into the holiday celebrations because it's just nice.
Well, what's really cool about that too is, so we've kind of become the honorary hosts in the family. We have a dining room big enough that we can accommodate the family. And so last year I did a full British American, I guess, as British as I could do it here, a full British Christmas. So like
sprouts.
Yeah, we served sprouts and we did roast beef and Yorkshire puds, and red cabbage, and I'd mulled a bottle of wine, and we did Yorkshire puds, and we really just went all out. And what was really cool is our family seemed to really like it, so we're gonna do it again this year.
It's just something a little different, and because Christmas can get pretty stale if it's always the same every year.
Yeah, but I wanted to share that when I was in England in September at the end of the drive, we had one day in London, and one of the places that I always visit every time we go to London is Fortnum and Mason. I usually don't do my shopping at the brick and mortar store. I usually do it at the airport, duty free. Just a tip for you. But this time I did do it in the store, and I picked up some awesome goodies. I picked up, so I just want to show, for those of you who are watching, this little bag. It's Christmas mulled wine spice bag. So I had mulled wine for the first time ever when we went to spend a Christmas there, and the only time you ever hear of mulled wine really is like at a Christmas market here, or like they talk about it in It's a Wonderful Life. I think, what is it? Clarence orders mulled wine, like light on the cinnamon or something like that, heavy on the cloves. Anyway, I went in and they had just put out all their Christmas stuff, and you can do mulled wine here without a nicely made spice packet, but it's a little harder to do. And so I stopped one of the sales associates and just asked if they had any. And he said, oh, well, they're not out on the sales floor yet. I think they might be in the back. You'll have to come back later. And I said, well, I would love to, but I live in Chicago. And so he stopped. Like, there was a line of people behind me waiting to talk to him. And he was like, hold on, I'll be right back. And he came back out, and he brought 2 of these spice packets out for me. And he's like, they're technically not for sale yet, but since you live in Chicago and you're here now. So I left absolutely thrilled with my little spice bags of mulled wine. Definitely enough for two pots of wine. And it's so easy to do mulled wine. I'll actually do a video in a day or two here about how to do it at home with a spice bag and without a spice bag. You just want a good fruity red wine. So it's really good. And then I'm so excited. I bought, if you can see on the video too, if you can't, that's fine, I'll just describe it, a figgy Christmas pudding. So we're going to do this for dessert. We've never served figgy pudding. Like, I've never even had a figgy pudding. Have you?
No.
So is really funny, like, bringing this home, because this pudding probably weighs, like, 8 pounds. I'm not kidding. Like, my luggage was 8 pounds heavier from this pudding. But I forgot to buy the brandy butter that's supposed to go on top. So, what's funny is you always see on Bake Off, Great British Bake Off, they always have to make brandy butter, and, like, it separates, and I'm gonna make brandy butter, which that could be really, really interesting.
Want to do our crackers?
Sure. I don't know where mine went,
It's
but
right here.
oh, okay. All right. So, don't we traditionally? You kind of cross your hands, and here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Unless you hear that pop, that's the gunpowder.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Let's share our funny jokes. Oh, I got a little magnifying glass. That was my gift.
Oh, I got a luggage tag.
Oh, hey. How fitting. Sorry for those of you who are listening only. The noise has got to be pretty awful.
I got a red paper crown.
Oh, you got a red paper crown? All right. Oh, mine's green. Hey, look at that. We've seen them come in all different colors. That's the noise of the paper crowns. Let's see. How do I look?
It's beautiful.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, here's my joke.
All right, what's your joke?
What do you call just married spiders?
I don't know what.
Newlywebs.
Okay, here's mine.
Oh, and there's a charade, but we're not going to do charades because...
Which is also a very British...
Yeah, it's a very British thing is to do charades at Christmas.
charades. Okay. Oh, hey, listen to this. What has 8 arms and tells the time?
I don't know what.
A clocktopus. Ha ha ha. How funny.
Why don't you hand me the book when you talk about the book?
Yeah.
So a lot of British Christmas traditions that Americans have adopted actually come from the royal family in Britain during the Victorian age, and a lot of those actually came from Germany. So we got this great book a few weeks ago called A Royal Christmas, and it's put out by the Royal Collection Trust, and it's distributed here in the U.S. by the University of Chicago Press. And it's a great guide and history to the royal family at Christmas and the traditions that they started and that
there's
people picked up on.
recipes in there.
Yeah,
like
there's
recipes. It's a gorgeous book.
They're traditions that then a lot of regular British families adopted. Filled with tons of great pictures, and it's just a wonderful trove of information about British Christmas. So if you wanted some ideas on how you can add some of the royal family celebrations to your own Christmas, highly recommend this book. It's on Amazon. It's not that expensive either. So,
yeah.
Well, why don't we?
Good one.
Yeah, why don't we finish up with each of us talking about our favorite memory from the time we went at British Christmas?
Okay.
You go first. Or you want me to go first because I've been thinking about it.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So my favorite memory, besides all the stuff,
all the stuff we did,
would be Christmas Day. And to give you some context, Christmas Day was rainy.
It was chilly.
It wasn't that cold, but it was rainy and wet. Gold Hill's very treacherous in the rain. But my favorite memory is when the church bells started pealing. Because you don't really have that here, because most churches don't have bells anymore. So, like on Gold Hill, at the top of Gold Hill is the town church, and so we heard loud and clear as the bells started pealing for Christmas, and they just went on
for Christmas morning. It was incredible.
It was incredible, and then there's several more churches in Shaftesbury, and then their bells started. So then you had this symphony of bells echoing through the English countryside.
It felt like something out of a Charles Dickens novel.
It was simply magical.
Yeah,
it's the only it's a hackneyed phrase to use, but it was magical. And the only thing that would have made it better would be if there had been snow. But it was, we stood there with the door open, and William came crawling out, and we listened to the bells peal, and it was amazing. That was probably my top experience when we were there at Christmas, and it's been 5 years since we did that. I would love to do Christmas there again, so maybe we'll do that in the next few years.
Yeah, I think the kids would really adore that. I think I know I kind of sound like a broken record here, but really kind of, it was my first foray into cooking British Christmas food. I made, we call them devils on horseback. It's like a little sausage that...
A blanket?
No, it wasn't in a blanket. It was wrapped in British bacon. And, like, I had never cooked something like that before, and, like...
A sausage wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, sounds amazing. It's so good. It's so good. But what was really cool is, like, I went to the store to prepare for British Christmas, which, if you are going to spend a Christmas there, nothing will be open on Christmas Day. Very few things will be open on Christmas Eve. Like, you have to have your shopping done.
There'll be limited shopping on Boxing Day, but...
Exactly. So you really got to have everything you need. But, like, I went and, like, bought British cheeses and stuff like that. So, like, we had, like, Christmas, like, appetizers before dinner. And so that was really cool. Like, even though, like, the sausages were, like, horribly burnt, they were still delicious. And there's just, like, I feel like there are so many traditions that we learned and things that we learned that Christmas season that have become staples in our household.
And I don't want us to sound like we know everything about British Christmas now. If we went again, we would learn a whole raft of new things, and that's what I love about...
If we go again, let's host a Christmas party and invite our friends.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think...
Everybody's been so generous and has welcomed us to their table.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think it's just a magical time to be there, and I don't know.
And we haven't even talked about how beautiful London is with, like, all the lights up everywhere. Oh my gosh!
Going into Hamleys to do some Christmas shopping, or Covent Garden all decorated.
Well, and that's the thing, is that a lot of the sites in London, you know, that you would go see done up for Christmas are free.
Yeah.
I mean, Oxford Street.
Christmas markets, and most of the major British cities will have a Christmas market. There's nothing more British than a German Christmas market.
But you have to go. Yeah. You have to go, and you have to get mulled wine, and just, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
Think of if you're from the Midwest, think of the Chris Kindle Market in Chicago.
Yeah.
The British did these markets first, or after. Well, the Germans did them first.
Yeah, wait a minute.
The Germans did them first, but most of the major British cities will have a Christmas market. London will have several.
Yeah, and you can ice skate. Where do you go to ice skate? I can't remember the name of it.
There's dozens of places to go ice skating in London.
But the real famous one with the mansion, in front of the mansion.
Oh, Longley.
Oh, no, that's not Longley.
Oh, Somerset House.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Longley's down...
It's not a house. It's Somerset House, but it's not a house. But yeah, you can ice skate there.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
There's several, like the Natural History Museum has an ice skating rink. There's the Hyde Park Winter Wonderland, which is...
Like a Christmas carnival.
Yeah, it's like basically a county fair in the center of London that has rides and markets and
but is Christmas themed.
It's Christmas themed. And I actually posted about it on our Instagram the other day, and people weren't very nice about it. We liked it though. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we were just happened to do a different trip another time where we went right after Christmas.
It was last year. We arrived on the 29th.
Yeah, and all of it was still up, and it was just it was neat.
Yeah, so it was nice to get the kind of the tail end of the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we love about going that time of year is it's an excuse to be inside and cozy with a fire burning and listening to music or reading or working on our writing. Like, it's just such a nice time to do that, and there's no you don't have to feel like you're rushed to go anywhere or do anything, and maybe that's why we love it so much, is because here it's rush, kids in school and work and everything. So when we're there, we get to focus on experiencing Britishness, which is what we love so much about going there.
There's nothing better than being like, it's a cold, rainy afternoon, and you can like tuck into a pub and they've got the fire going, and there's a Labrador somewhere sleeping on the stone floor.
Yeah.
It's just it's magical.
It's wonderful, and I think I'm going start looking at airfares.
No, you're not.
I'm not kidding. We're actually going to take some time off from traveling. But yeah, it's just, it's wonderful. And I think it's safe to say that British Christmas and the holiday season and going at Christmas time probably encapsulates most of the things I love about British culture and history. And
it's a treasure trove.
It's a treasure trove. And I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. That's what they're going to put on your tombstone.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, well, from us here at Anglotopia, we wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Yeah. Happy Christmas. We didn't talk about that. They like to say happy Christmas, is the traditional salutation at Christmas. A lot of people say Merry Christmas now. They don't really say Happy Holidays.
Well, because they don't do Thanksgiving.
Because they don't do Thanksgiving. So they'll say Happy Christmas and Merry Christmas and then Happy New Year. And then it all comes to an end at 12th night. That's the traditional night. The Christmas decorations come down the 12th day of Christmas.
Yep.
So, but I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yes.
And
happy Christmas.
Have a happy Christmas, and we will see you
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So we're going to be off next week because of the holiday, and we'll be back after the new year.
All right, and we'll be talking about Scotland.
Yes.
Cannot wait.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
So, all right, thank you.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.